Hello fellow data friends. I will show you how to weaken the landed gentry and enact agrarianism within the first 10 years of the game as Russia. To get an impression of the political situation in your country, you are probably looking at this window here and hover over the political power of an interest group. This is helpful, but will not tell you the whole story. For example, where exactly is this support coming from? To find this information, we need to go to any interest group window. Here you can see which pops support this interest group. As expected for the landed gentry, there are a lot of aristocrats. And if we hover over here, we get an interesting tooltip. This distribution shows how many % of aristocrats support which interest group at this specific moment. The majority of aristocrats support the landed gentry. Makes sense, but how is this determined? Let's click on an aristocrat pop. Here we can see the political power of that pop and how it's calculated with all the relevant modifiers. Remember, these modifiers only show up here because they are aristocrat modifiers and not landed gentry modifiers. And if we hover over here, we can see the attraction of each interest group for this specific pop. This is the target distribution of support from this pop. This year will slowly move towards the target distribution. It can take up to 3 years to reach it. Let's go back to the IG attraction tooltip and hover over these percentages. We now see the actual calculations. Aristocrats get a lot of attraction from the landed gentry because they are aristocrats. They get a good amount of attraction for the armed forces because they are not discriminated and because aristocrats are also somewhat drawn to the armed forces. But the value for profession is at 100 points because we have peasant levies law active. If we remove this law, this value will drop to 50 and some aristocrats will move away from the armed forces. Because of this, enacting the professional army law is a trap if you want to weaken the landed gentry early. This is actually displayed if you want to enact the professional army law down here. Yes, enacting this law gives plus 25% to the armed forces, and removing peasant levies weakens aristocrats, but the change of aristocrat support will counteract these changes if you have a lot of aristocrats. I will demonstrate this in game at a later video chapter. Back to our aristocrats and the IG attraction. Some aristocrats also support the intelligentsia with 75 points. This is mostly because of the hereditary bureaucrats law. Without that law, this number would drop to 25, and a lot of aristocrats will no longer support the intelligentsia. And here we can see the effect of suppression on an interest group. Lastly, there's some support for the church because of the religion, but more literacy removes support for them. Okay, we want to achieve two goals. We need to weaken the landed gentry, and we want to pass agrarianism. Firstly, there's very little support for that law, but we can get more easily. Russia always has this starting general. He's a luddite, which we will use to our advantage. Also, he has 25 popularity and is the most liked general from the armed forces at game start. When we exile the leader of the armed forces, there's a huge chance that the most popular general will step up to fill the void. And voila! Restart the game if we do not get this general as leader. Now we have a good support for agrarianism, but still a lot of power is working against us. Now back to politics. So we want as many aristocrats as possible to support the armed forces, intelligentsia and the church, so they won't support the landed gentry. So we bolster these interest groups. And we want to lower taxes so we don't drown in radicals, because we are going to tank our government rating. And we need to do even more, since our Tsar is arrogant, which gives another minus 10 points. We want him to abdicate, which we can only do once his son turns 18 in April. Time to move the armed forces into government. Now, enact industry ban, which will make the landed gentry very angry and let time tick a bit. Now we can abdicate the throne. Loyalists are more likely to support interest groups in power, and we want aristocrats to not support the landed gentry, so we will take the top one. So now we can enact laws without the landed gentry. Cancel industry ban to avoid an uprising, and remove the landed gentry from power. Now, since the landed gentry is in opposition, we can suppress them. This is important to reduce their power. And if you are really lucky, whenever you suppress a powerful interest group, there's a small chance for an event that spawns a journal entry that helps you suppress them. If that spawn, you will destroy the landed gentry. Okay, the setup is almost complete. Let's look at interest group attraction from our aristocrat pop. Now, more aristocrats want to support the armed forces than the landed gentry itself. It will take several years for the current power balance to fully shift towards this target distribution. These changes alone will significantly weaken the landed gentry. But for Russia, we can do even better. we want to enact the Colonial Resettlement law. What the game does not tell you, this will militarize settlers in unincorporated states and increase their support for the armed forces. And Russia has a lot of unincorporated states. While these are mostly the states with lower population, it still helps. There's also a second reason to enact this law. No important interest group is against it, so we will mostly get good events that might further strengthen the position of the armed forces. So finally time to unpause again. We can watch the slow change in power in the new outliner. Okay, first event, just more success chance, fine. Now we entered consideration phase. Oh, a failed debate. More success chance. Even more success chance. Next stage. Okay, colonial resettlement passed. Let's look at the unincorporated state of Saratov and click on some aristocrats. There's 45% attraction for the armed forces, and they have plus 75 from not discriminated before modifiers. Let's compare with aristocrats from an incorporated state. About 36%, but you can see the effect of the law change. And this law change affects all pops in unincorporated states, not just aristocrats. But even for these aristocrats in unincorporated states, there's still some support not shifted yet. Landed gentry attraction is 32%, but the actual support is 36%. Now, we're already in a good spot to change the law. We still might be unlucky with events, but this is a good political situation and way less luck dependent than at the start of this video. And I didn't even build a single building to change the political situation. But we still have an unattackable government. Now, the church is powerful enough to actually improve our government rating. But it would be perfect if we reached a contested government. So let's wait another year. Okay, we got 45 government rating. We can get the rest with promoting some generals. Okay, 2 new field marshals. Not enough. So we promote that admiral. Bam, we have a contested government. So let's start agrarianism. And speed up. Popular playwright. Let's get more success chance. Okay, another event. Both options are viable. Okay, next stage. Public address goes awry. We'll take the setback. Law advancement, yay. Adoption phase, almost. And finally, we got agrarianism in November of 1842. Not even 10 years, and the landed gentry only have 29% power left. And Alexandra Romanov is always a market liberal, so you could even try to remove serfdom now if you are feeling lucky. But I promise a bonus round. Why professional army is a trap law if you want to remove the landed gentry from power if you have strong aristocrats. Let me restart the game, and for the sake of science, let me use a console to enable the professional army law. Otherwise, some other effects or events might interfere. And fast forward. Okay, 2 years have passed. Seems like there was a drop of about 2% in power for the landed gentry, and the armed forces had this initial increase due to the plus 25%, but they lost about half the power afterwards. But as you can see, this law is not making a huge change in the political landscape apart from weakening new armed forces. If you want to learn how to conquer Alsace-Lorraine as Prussia at game start, click on the top video. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing.